Ladies and gentlemen, greetings from your respective positions. In international news, the entire French political class is mobilized to put pressure on the French state, which in reality can do nothing. The French industry is in free fall. The French industry no longer has raw materials to keep its industry running. To this end, we have a large French company, a major company, I believe the hybrid company operating in France, across 7 sites, which has just laid off 636 people. Positions have been eliminated. The real reason for the elimination of these positions is pleasing to Africa, because it is a response that Africa gives to France, which has always said that it can manage without Africa, or at least questioned whether Africa could manage without France, because France has said that it is up to us, Africans, to remain grateful to France, which has always worked for us, for our development. France has never acknowledged that its raw materials came from Africa, even if it sometimes tries to. But officially, when the French recently left the Sahel, what was said were words that did not demonstrate gratitude. 636 posts, that's not small. It's not small at all. After budget cuts, universities saw their budgets being slashed. After the boom suspension of budgets allocated to decentralized communities, thus to local communities, now massive layoffs have begun on the side of France. If you are African, I ask you to share this video conference. If you're in the Pan-African spirit, I ask you to share this video conference. Share it as much as possible. When the news is bad on that side, it becomes very good here, since we said, and they are reading the time. So, let's go into the depths. The announcement was made on April 23, 2025, by the company called ArcelorMittal, which is in the French industry, works with steel. ArcelorMittal announced the elimination of 636 positions across 7 French sites. These different sites are Dunkirk, Florange, Bas-Indre, Mardik, Mouzon, Desvray, and Montanters. Thus, the elimination of these 636 positions has sparked an unprecedented wave of indignation within the French political class. It is a decision that is motivated, meaning the reason for this job elimination, I say, it pleases Africa. The decision is motivated by the steel crisis in Europe. The steel crisis in Europe and the outsourcing of support functions to India. Because there is a steel crisis in Europe, they have attempted to outsource the support functions of this company to India, where they truly believe they can find steel. Yet Africa has it. We have steel in abundance, and that's what they were taking indiscriminately. And then jobs were protected. Families continued to eat. But today, in most African countries, the way France has plundered our resources, much of it has stopped. Yes, we have many African youths who continuously put pressure on their leaders. And when we talk about the France-Africa relationship, it mostly concerns Francophone Africa. since Anglophone Africa has almost nothing to do with France. That's why very recently, about 5 months ago, Emmanuel Macron said that France will review its strategy. It now wants to collaborate with Anglophone Africa. So as colonization is definitively coming to an end on the Francophone Africa side, there is a need to redirect towards Anglophone Africa. They are the ones who do not know the French well. They forget that Anglophones now understand English. There are options to translate all messages into all possible international languages. Let's go. Let's continue. There is a consensus, a broad consensus that goes unspoken within the French political class. Whether it's the left or the right, they all agree. On the left, calls for state intervention dominate. They are asking for the state to intervene because it is a company that receives 300 million. Yes, the French state pays this amount of 300 million euros in public aid, which is received by the group's company. And so that's why we have a political figure named Manon Aubry, who criticized the fact that France is paying this money. And then the same company, when it receives these 300 million, the same company redistributes 400 million, completes and pays 400 million to its shareholder partners. So it's as if France's money is being plundered. So, well, the right is also upset. We have Xavier Bertrand, who is the president of the LR, from Hauts-de-France, who has called for a roundtable with all stakeholders and clear commitments on investments, particularly the decarbonization of Dunkirk. There you go. So, in short, there are many politicians who have come forward and spoken. You also have another, Sébastien Chenou, who says it's time, because ArcelorMittal says when the investments will be made. So, they are all relentless against the company and the state. They still want things to be clear. So, this indignation, despite this wave of indignation, 636 French people are unemployed. Because of what? Due to a lack of steel. There is a steel crisis. This is what France is. A territory that has nothing, that has no resources. France has nothing to develop if it doesn't take from others. If it hadn't polluted Africa, France wouldn't be at the level it is today. Our brothers in Africa need to understand. And that's why we have a duty. We have these raw materials. Let's develop our different nations. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that was the headline of the news. Thank you for sharing it as much as possible. I will be back shortly, by the grace of the Almighty, with new updates. This was the voice of your humble servant, Robert Théa.